Roll up another one, because this is Smoking Sessions with Chief Pressure. Y'all already know I got to keep letting them know about all of our contributions to every part of this country before and after its inception, so that it may inspire us to continue in our greatness as the real American Indians or original Americans. This would just be a light session on some of our contributions in the military. We fought in every war in this land or for this land before and after the United States of America's inception. We as a people are a loving and warring people by nature. We are the greatest warriors ever. We are the secret sauce. That's why when the Europeans realized initially that they couldn't beat us after a few tries, they used us to beat us, because we're truly the only ones who can beat us. Divide and conquer always been their true weapon of mass destruction. That's why unity to me is the only way to really fuck up their plans. From the thousands of Indian wars like the King Philip or Metacom War, Yamasee War, Gullah Geechee, Creek, Okanee, Seminole Wars, etc. Yeah, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, which is really the ending of the last most significant American Indian Wars, which allowed the U.S. military to really have that foothold they needed to conquer the West right before the Reconstruction era. The World War, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, to the modern wars of today. Our people, our blood has always shed in or for our ancestral homelands. Even when these crackers kept us segregated to treat us like shit, we showed them we the shit without having the same comfort or benefits they had, like adequate pay, clothes, boots, socks, food, and more. We had brave and skilled brothers like the Tuskegee Airmen, aka the Red Tails, who the U.S. injected with syphilis after they won the war and used them like lab rats. That's how they show their appreciation to us, huh? What you know about the Harlem Hellfighters, a regiment full of brothers that was originally called the 15th New York National Guard Regiment, but it was reorganized as the 369th Infantry Regiment when it was federalized. The Harlem Hellfighters were authorized in 1913. The Germans nicknamed the regiment Hellfighters because of their bravery and combat skills. The regiment served in France for 191 days, which was longer than any other American regiment in World War I. The regiment received the Croix de Guerre, which was one of France's highest awards. So basically, the Harlem Hellfighters freed France from the Germans. If you haven't seen the movie The 24th, go watch that. It's about the 24th Infantry, aka the Buffalo Soldiers, and how they wiped out a whole town of racist crackers for violating too much. They should have did it off rip. I mean, y'all go watch it. You know, I won't tolerate some parts of that shit, most parts of that shit, right? But I like the part that it shows what we can do to these motherfuckers when we're united. And we all know that the U.S. military used the Buffalo Soldiers to take out the combative Eurasian native invaders that were out west. And we got the Mount 4 Point Marines, to name just a few. Now, that was just some of the brothers, but we can't forget to mention the sisters who contributed greatly also. Sisters filled and created many vital roles in the military, like nurses who served in the hospitals, troop centers, and provided aid to soldiers on the field. Sisters were cooks and bandage makers too. Yeah, they actually created bandages to support soldiers. Sisters also worked in logistics and as administrative support. Yeah, sisters that fixed equipment like aircrafts, trucks, cars, etc. It wouldn't be too much later that the U.S. military allowed the sisters to prove themselves in combat. But we can't leave out the 668, an all melanated American female unit that served in World War II, who was the first all women unit to be deployed overseas. The 688th was a unit of more than 800 sisters that was tasked with working through a huge backlog of mail meant for the troops, because General Eisenhower wanted that mail to get to the troops in the field to boost the morale. When they arrived to the building, it was stacked to the ceiling with mail bags, packages of spoiled food, and gifts, along with an infestation of rats. Working in 3 8-hour shifts around the clock, they were able to complete sorting the mail, which was more than 65,000 pieces of mail in half of the expected time, only 3 months. The unit went on to different cities and countries between the US and Europe to help. Another key thing to add is that the US military was facing a severe shortage of nurses before they stopped limiting how much sisters could join. We as melanated Americans invented many things that contributed to the military that we don't outright get the credit for. Like we invented war bombs, gun machines, aircraft guns, explosive bullets, submarines, and diving suits. And that's only by the year of 1920. Or brilliant brothers like George Washington Carver, who invented and developed products for the U.S. military too. During World War I, George Washington Carver developed alternate uses for peanuts, soybeans, and sweet potatoes to address food shortages in the military. And he invented a process for producing paints and stains from soybeans. In World War II, he created peanut rubber for cannons. He created over 300 inventions from just using peanuts alone, not mentioning all the other things he created without peanuts. Now let's give it up for the American brother of the hour, Private Willie Lee Duckworth, born more than 100 years ago in 1924 until he passed in 2004. Private Willie Lee Duckworth created the Duckworth Chant, also known as the Sound Off and Jody called during World War II, which is still used to this day. It has its own variations of each branch in the military. Duckworth was from Sandersville, Georgia. The song was based off our old indigenous work songs. We used those songs when we worked wool, cotton, timber, and especially when we built the railroad tracks. It was one of our many verbal art forms used to boost morale, which is why the U.S. military adapted it, among it being able to keep troops or workers in coordination or cadence with each other. Private Willie Lee Duckworth first used it in training drills in New York, but it quickly spread throughout the military and became a staple, the staple that we all know today. See, in our culture, we use Jody songs to take our mind off a hard task, to vent, to mock the so-called boss, build morale, and poke fun or talk dirty. The year was 1944 when Duckworth was stationed at Fort Slocum, New York, as one of only 8 colored infantrymen. It was a provisional training center. It's said that Duckworth, on orders from a non-commissioned officer, improvised his own drill for soldiers in his unit. Soon after, all the ranks were buzzing and keeping rhythm. Colonel Lynch, who was the basic commander at the fort, asked Duckworth, where did he get that unique chant? Duckworth replied, it came from calling halls back home. Colonel Lynch was so sure of Duckworth's cadence calls' effectiveness, he made them a standard at Fort Slocum and went on to write a drill instruction manual. Yeah, so he ordered it to be used by all soldiers. And with 23 verses furnished by Private Duckworth and the help of bass musicians, the colonel put it to music and published it in a cadence manual. At the time, the cadence was titled the Duckworth Chant. After the war, Duckworth returned to Sandersville and worked in a sawmill until the early 1950s when his chant became a hit song with the title Sound Off. It was performed by Von Moreau. It also became the basis of a movie by the name of Sound Off. Since then, parts of Sound Off has been used in dozens of movies, including Private Benjamin. Each time it's used, Mr. Duckworth gets a royalty check. When the movie Sound Off was going good, Duckworth received as much as $1,000 per month. And that was cool, you know what I mean? Cool little buck in the 50s. But he didn't splurge the money. He bought a pulpwood truck and opened his own business. Although his company remained kind of small and his royalty checks were never that big again, Duckworth and Edna, his wife of 45 years, have lived comfortably and reared 6 children, which is definitely a blessing. I hope y'all enjoyed this presentation. It's for us to remember and continue our greatness. Remember, we accomplished most of this under discrimination, segregation, and a system that was redesigned for us to lose. But I'm like, how can we lose when the greatness that flows through our veins is from the Most High and our ancestors, which made it for us to be born to win? When we're united, no one can beat us. Peace, love, and power to my people.
Hut, whoop, hip, whoop, the heads are up, the chests are out, the arms are swinging and cadence count. Sound low.
1, 2,
Sound low.
3, 4.
Cadence count.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, let's go back and count some more. Sound low.
1, 2,
Sound low.
3, 4.
Cadence count.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We will march to beat the band and we'll never bite the hand. Sound low.
1, 2,
Sound low.
3, 4.
Cadence count.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I had a good home but I live.
You're right.
I had a good home but I live.
You're right.
Jody was there when you lived.
You're right.
Jody was there when you lived.
You're right.
Sound low.
1, 2,
Sound low.
3.